That must be the bell. Hello, and welcome to another edition of Sunday Night Soccer. Either that or you just got an important text message.
I don't know what I got. I don't know what the hell just happened. That threw me off completely.
We're glad to be back. I'm Jay here with Mike D. Had a busy week. Glad to be back. Bring you some interesting topics today as the international window has officially closed, and we will be back to business here very shortly. How you been, Mike D?
I'm good, man. Regular season started for my club teams. I went 1-1 this weekend, but proud of both teams. They played hard. And just gearing up for spring break now that we got all this hard work for preseason in. Now we get to take a week off, which is poorly timed. But no, I'm good, man. Yeah, how are you doing?
Yeah, we just got done with spring break, but when you coach club, there's spring breaks all the time for different schools and things. So, it's just something always going on. But yeah, good. We did a couple podcasts this week, which make sure you check those out. We'll have those out here the next few days. We also added 2 new groups to the soccer neighborhood this week. We'll give a shout out to 703 Warriors in the Northern Virginia area and Richmond Street Soccer doing some great things, free soccer for kids and pickup games. So great job to them. That puts us up to, I think, 33 organizations now under the in the soccer neighborhood around the country. So continue to work hard on that front. With that being said, we'll get straight to it, Mike D, if you don't mind. We have a lot to talk about, even though, like we said, there was an international window. It's just now closing. So we will get back to normal here within our domestic leagues. But a couple main things that went on during the week, a couple I think will get your attention. FA Cup quarterfinals. We'll talk about that in a few minutes, about who made it to the Final Four. Not March Madness yet, but it's down to the Final Four. Promotion relegation is still a hot topic around the U.S. with the USL and all those kind of things, which it'll probably be a hot topic for the next year or two until they put it into action. Trinity Rodman, in a recent interview yesterday, I just saw it, revealed she's having some nagging back injuries and back spasms. And she made it sound like it's not really something that's going to go away, and she's just going to have to manage it for the rest of her career. So not an ideal situation for her, but it does sound like something she could manage, and it's just maybe not going to go away, unfortunately. Mbappe scored twice for Real Madrid, and I know what you're thinking. I said that the international window just closed. It did, just barely. Spain and I believe Italy just started play today. MLS has been going on, throughout. But the Premier League and all those things will get started up again this week. So Mbappe also, those 2 goals I just read today tied him for
Ronaldo's score. So he was quite an honor. I know Jay just popped off real quick, so I'm just going to steal the show and just kind of float here while we get Jay back on the screen and talk about what I want to talk about. So the Knicks.
Now, I left for 5 seconds. You're already talking about the Knicks. Unbelievable.
Well, today's Walt Frazier's 80th birthday, so I just want to say that. That's what I was going to real quick with that. But go ahead, Jay.
No, that's good. I got storms and Wi-Fi and all kind of technical issues, so you know how that goes. There you go. We got 1 comment already.
Thanks, Omar, my guy.
So I apologize for all this technical difficulties, man. Technical difficulties.
You're okay, Jay.
We'll get it going again. So Mbappe scored twice. We got comments flying in now. Look at this. Walt's zebra suit. Love it.
Love that. Yeah. Walt Frazier had a zebra suit. So if you don't know who Walt is, he's a character. This is what we're going to talk about with the MLS later, of the type of personality you need as commentators in the MLS that will make more gravitation to the game, in my opinion. But everyone's wearing the fancy suits that he has. Yeah. So today for the Knicks game.
No Knicks.
I don't know who you're talking Brazilian to. Get off this page.
Go Spurs. Go Spurs. Hey, we're getting
all right. Let's keep moving. Let's move on.
All right. Okay. So Mbappe tied Ronaldo for a first year with Real Madrid. Usually a pretty good thing when you tie Ronaldo in something. Arsenal appointed Berta as a new sporting director, and March Madness is also down in the Final Four. Just before we came on the air, they are back to the Final Four. That has been announced, and I'm sure Eric will catch us up on those things and our backroom staff at the end of the show. So moving on, as we said, not a lot of movement in any of the leagues around Europe as they're just now getting back in action. but I will let you give a quick rundown of the most recent action apart from this afternoon's game at MLS, and let everybody know the current standings, Mike D.
So we had some change up in the East. So if you're trying to get familiar with the MLS, I'm here to help you, because I'm someone that's learning how to be a fan. I'm becoming more of a fan in the MLS. So let me give you a brief on what's going on so far. We just started what, Jay, like 2-3 weeks ago? I think we started.
Yeah.
About 3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
Inter
teams
Miami
have played about 5 games. Yep.
Inter Miami now in first place with 13 points, passing Philadelphia with 4 wins and 1 draw and 0 losses. So still undefeated. Columbus Crew, Jay's Columbus Crew, 3 wins and 3 draws, 0 losses. And the story that you should be following right now, Chicago Fire in 4th place with 3 wins, 2 draws, and 1 loss. The big story about Chicago is Greg Berhalter is now in Chicago, and that city and that club has been on the bottom of the table for quite some time, and things seem to be changing around. Over on the west side, we have Vancouver, surprise, surprise there, with 4 wins, 1 draw, and 1 loss. And then the expansion team, San Diego FC, in 2nd place with 3 wins, 2 draws, and 1 loss, followed by Minnesota and Colorado with the same record with 3 wins and 2 draws in 1 loss. Jay, I got a question for you. And Eric, maybe in the back end. If you don't, guys are new to the show, Eric is our guy on the back end that's going to correct us on everything that we say wrong.
And usually there's a lot.
There's a lot of them. Is there a payout for the MLS like there is for top 4? Like there is in England?
I don't think so. I mean, there's the Champions Cup that they can qualify for, yes, but I'm not sure the payout for that. That was the big thing last year, that Inter Miami took that, and then they weren't sure that they got that spot. Brazilian 2 says yes. I'm not sure if they're referring to our latest question or not, but they say yes. We'll look into that, and we'll get back into that.
Eric, when you find that answer, go ahead and just raise your hand, and Jay will put you on.
He can put you on. We can comment. He can send us some comments as well in the live or in our messenger. But anyways, also want to point out San Diego, like you said, expansion team still sitting at 2nd place. No foreshadowing or anything, but they are doing pretty well. We do have a special guest hopping on here, hopefully here quickly, if I can get to him.
Well, this is a surprise to me.
Well, I don't know where he went. He's here somewhere. He's in the back room. I can see him, but no one else can see him.
That's great.
There he is.
There I am. I found myself.
That's great.
It's about time.
So you get $20,000 for the first round, $47,500 for the conference semifinals, $100,000 for finishing the conference finals, and $150,000 for the MLS Cup Finals runner-up.
Okay, so it's just through the playoffs.
So
you do get
depending on how you finish in the playoffs. It's not how you finish in the league.
All right, we'll be right back in a minute. Patrick Ewing.
Thank you, Eric. And I just get one of my buddies that's an executive within the MLS just sent me a text. He's listening to the show. So Jeremy, thank you very much. Clubs win a purse, small but something, when they win the MLS Open Cup and CONCACAF or League Cup. So they do win something. So that's good to know. Okay. So there is a bit of an incentive there. But the difference is, I mean, you're looking at across the pond and what they're doing and how big that is.
Hundreds of millions of dollars.
Hundreds. Yeah. I mean, you're talking about being relevant the next year based on how you qualify in the standings.
Yeah. And not to get into parachute payments and promotion and relegation yet, but yeah, even when you get sent down, they get a big chunk of money, for going down to the next league. Not as much as you do going up, but still a lot of money involved. So as we head into our next segment, like we talked about, the FA Cup did get back in action this weekend, and we'll find out in a second who made the Final Four as they just went through the quarterfinals, March Madness, and the FA Cup Final Four. How about that, Mike D? There's your international window, but this time it's closed, buddy. Okay, it's closed. Chris Richards, we don't have a lot of info on Americans yet, although AC Milan did play today and Pulisic didn't have the best day today. But Chris Richards did help Crystal Palace to the FA Cup semifinal.
Very nice.
They won yesterday, so there's your Final Four in the FA Cup. Nottingham Forest will play Manchester City, and Crystal Palace will play Aston Villa. So a couple good games there. The semifinals of the FA Cup, always an awesome
tournament.
Sport tournament. Like I said, one of the best sporting events in the world. To me, I know people love March Madness. If you like March Madness, check out the FA Cup.
So yeah, go ahead and go rehash that, because for any new listeners, what the FA Cup is and where this is another page the U.S. should be doing better with the U.S. Open, in my opinion.
Yes, that's another conversation. But yeah, so the FA Cup is an open tournament. The lower league teams even start this back in July and early August. The big boys don't have to enter the top teams in the Premier League until about January, but it's open to anyone, So if you have these lower level teams, they can enter the tournament and they can get all the way up. They've made it this far sometimes in the past. It's just an amazing sporting event. It's truly an open cup. Where you get, someone like Manchester City might have to, and they draw your name out of the hat. So it's not like the top seeded team, even in March Madness or other tournaments we have, the NFL playoffs, the higher seeded team doesn't necessarily get a home game. They draw the names out of the hat, and Manchester City might have to go to some, really small 5,000 seat stadium in a small town and play against a team 4 or 5 divisions below them. And it's just amazing. Sometimes it's a once in a lifetime game. For that community, just an awesome sporting event. So
what we need to have? We need to have like an American, like almost triathlon. Not saying that the teams are the same, but like an American Open where it's basketball, football, maybe not football. Football is a little too dangerous. Basketball, baseball, soccer, and hockey or something, to where you can have the smaller cities and whatever and have this open to where they're all competing and make it like the Olympics, but just for American sports. This is a way to kind of give some financial backing to some of those smaller cities and help maybe create some promotion to some of the smaller sports. I think that'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah, that'd be cool. And if you're new to soccer, we do have the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup, which has been around for a very long time. I highly recommend you check out the cup.us. They're a group of volunteer people that cover the U.S. Open Cup and have done so for a long time. They do an amazing job. But the U.S. Open Cup is truly an open cup like the FA Cup. However, MLS has kind of squashed that in the last year or two, and a lot of the MLS teams choose not to participate in it. They made it elective. It's not mandatory. So a lot of teams send their second team, or they don't participate in it at all, which is a bummer.
Yeah, and I think the reason for that, I think when you're dealing with a country of our size, it's hard not to lose money into something like that.
Yeah,
and I think that's what they're going up against. And so I mean, it's hard to find these right answers, but this is where you build pride, and allowing that type of competition to happen is just good for the sport. And where I think a lot of people in the soccer community need to put the paycheck and the checkbook aside and focus on promotion of the sport, because ultimately that's going to build the brand of soccer, which is ultimately going to help every league and team around the country.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more on that one. I hope we recorded that. I actually said that. So. All right, we're not going to get into any league stats because not a lot's changed. We are going to get into coaching and the major question, Mike D. And this really goes for any sport, I'd say, in youth sports more directly. But we asked a question this week: are fundamentals still important in any sport? It could be youth basketball, baseball, softball, volleyball. Obviously, our love and passion is soccer. But in the world we live in, Mike D., I pose this question because we both coach a lot, obviously. But in the world we live in today, there's a lot of focus on games, results, and tournaments, as we all know, unfortunately. And, where do you stand on this? Because this could become very difficult. One of the biggest problems I think people face is, what if your team's not doing well? Like you said, what if your teams this weekend lost 2 or 3 games, things aren't going well, and then you're still going to devote a lot of time to teaching technical skills and the basic fundamentals at practice. What are your thoughts on that?
So the curriculum's pretty obvious. And if you're ever looking how the USF really outlines this on how you're supposed to be spending your time on technique versus tactics, and what that's supposed to look like. And as you move older, it shifts more towards tactics, but really dialing in on technique is where it should be. But I think this is where we get construed as coaches across the board in the United States, I guess, because I think fundamentals aren't widely understood of what that is in soccer. I'm not just talking about technique. So if I were to break down fundamentals, I'm talking about communication. I'm talking about body shape. I'm talking about teamwork. I'm talking about how to train, which is a big part in soccer. I'm talking about game reading. So you're understanding your cues and how that makes you move as a player, that technique, and then the rules. So there's a lot of game management pieces that are overlooked, and players that have the fundamentals down at an early age, basically with a throw-in, when they know how to do a quick throw-in because they're reading the game and they're having cues. Those are the fundamentals of the game that are completely overlooked, I feel like, in the United States. And so we're not grasping that because you have too many people jumping in and saying, oh, it's teamwork and here's this. Let me throw some cones down, dribble through this and shoot. That's not the game at all. There's no fundamental basis there. Maybe there's some agility components and touches on the ball, which is great. But at practice, you should be definitely working on communication. That needs to be instilled. Your body shape on how to open up and move the ball away from pressure into the right space and moving more direct. I can't tell you how many times angles I'm having to reteach in U15 and U16, where that's a fundamental concept in soccer when there's independent thinking and 11 people on the field. Like you start with the basics, right? 1v1, then 2v1, then 2v2, then 3v2, then 3v1. Like those concepts are fundamentals of the game. And those things are completely overlooked. And it's really hard to establish growth onto an 11v field when we're starting with 4v4 going to 7v7, 9v9, 11v11. If you don't have the basics down, the basic concepts to be able to manipulate space and move properly on the field. And those fundamentals are, I'm afraid, still aren't where they need to be and understood by the coaches consistently enough around the United States.
Yeah, I agree. And I think one of the biggest problems, I think number one is younger age groups. I don't know where you draw the line, but I'd say U12 and younger where you really need to focus on these basic skills. And I think that it often gets overlooked now more than ever, just in my own opinion, because everyone gets focused on results, right? Everyone wants to win. Everyone's worried about winning. And you and I know both, all too well, maybe you have that in soccer. This is what happens. You have a really athletic, fast kid. So you just kick it along and you score some goals. And then the team starts winning when you're 10 or 11 or 12, right? But the skills are not there and the basic fundamentals aren't there. I always equate it. You and I, we love basketball. We talk basketball all the time. We were just joking around about the Knicks. But it's like if you kids in high school,
all about the Knicks.
I was.
Okay.
But no, if the Cavs are doing pretty well, I'm just saying. Anyways,
Jay, relax.
I am relaxed. You're the one that got all upset about the Knicks, not me.
Yeah, because it's all right. You throw me in the playoffs, and then we can talk about the Cavs.
We will.
Okay.
So, anyways, you take a high school kid that's in high school at that age and has a bad jump shot, bad form. There's not a whole lot you can do. It's really difficult to help a 16 or 17-year-old kid or a college kid change his jump shot. Same thing with soccer. If you don't learn those basic techniques, how to receive the ball, like you said, how to pass the ball properly. As you get older, really the only thing that changes, like you said, is tactics and speed. It's a lot of the same decisions in a game. It's just the speed. You have less time. And if you don't have those basic fundamentals, it makes it very difficult. And so I think the biggest problem is people get focused too much on winning and on results in our entire country. And a lot of times they skip, because as a coach, you and I know you could skip over those things and take some shortcuts to help your team win a game a little bit more. But it takes patience. And one of those things, question mark there, is patience needed. I think you need to communicate those things to the parents and say, hey, we have to be patient. We're working on the fundamentals.
Great point. And that is such a big point that I would love to tell other coaches is you need to have open communication with the parents. They need to understand what they're looking at, because you need their influence. They're another influential X factor for that player. When they go home and they're in that car ride, what does that sound like? You want them mimicking your voice and what you're teaching them. And they can't go like, oh, you should have done this. For instance, I had a game today where I'm having a parent on the sideline telling my player to stay on him, when I had my defense in a zone. And so he got beat backside a couple of times because he's guarding this outside player that's pulling him because he's listening to the dad, And so to me, that was like, I got to have a conversation with you or not. They got to understand to let me coach, first of all, during a game. Like I'm not going to compete with you. Sorry.
Yeah.
You signed up. I've learned these players from a tactical standpoint and how we need to trigger and how we need to move. I can't have you all of a sudden game day acting like the tactics and what we've trained on and what I just told them on the sideline. Like that can't be happening. So
no, puts players in a difficult position as well.
It does, yeah. Now you're competing to get your dad's approval versus the coach that just told me to do this. Yeah. You know, how many times have you seen a parent say, "That's not what I'm supposed to do," or kids say to the parent, "I'm not supposed to do." You know, so this is a big topic. I really enjoy this type of conversation because there's so much to unpack here, and that you could go through with, you know, what are the right fundamentals, what are the things that we need to see, like, because in American soccer, what you typically see at the younger age, right, is the more athletic, bigger, faster kid that's just scoring, maybe, but not with the proper technique. And then what happens now with this transfer portal and clubs, now you're getting players at one club for a year, then moving to another club. That's not focused on development. They're moving to the other club. Why? Because they want to get more wins. They want to have that stature of playing in the MLS Next or playing wherever it is that's going to make them feel like, oh, I have better status. So, Eric, welcome back, Eric.
We got another Eric back.
Hey, good to see you, man, or hear from you.
Love it. When coaches don't communicate directly with parents at the youth level, it's definitely problematic. 100%. The last thing we want is to be left in the dark about philosophy of the team or program. Absolutely. Great point. Great point. Couldn't agree more. I think communication is a lot of it. It definitely helps. And I think, like you said, it's a great point. You know, when you have the kids doing this in the middle of a game, looking at both sidelines, it's never a good situation. And like I said, patience is the most important aspect in this. You have to just buy in. And again, to go back to basketball, one last example, it's like that kid. We've all known kids, or we've seen kids on a team who are taller or more athletic than everyone else. And that kid really excels at basketball, right? In like 5th or 6th grade. But then when everybody reaches puberty, you know, and catches up to that kid's skills didn't develop. And you wonder what happened. Well, it's because when they were younger, they didn't work on those basic skills, or the coaches didn't force them to.
So, you know, I tell you what, personally, that happened to me. I was never tall. I was always smaller, but I was quicker and faster than everyone. And then by 8th, 9th grade, I started doing ODP. And then I realized really quickly, like, oh, crap, it's not as easy anymore. Yeah. I wasn't mentally tough to handle that because I always had an easy way of scoring, kind of doing what I wanted on the field. And then all of a sudden, this new technique and tactical awareness was required that I just never, because I was having success doing what I was doing, just being athletic. And so that's where, even when your kids are having success, you need to rein them in to make sure that they're taking the proper steps to get to that next level. And as coaches, the best way to do that is by being on the same page, where this is all a cash grab still when it comes to club status. Like, it's not that way. You're going to pick any team. You want the success. A win looks good for the coach, looks good for the club. That's a good day.
The age-old argument, winning versus development.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I have a question for you real quick, because we're on some different sports. Football, Mike D. American football.
Yeah.
Can you name a couple different channels that you watch American football in the fall?
The great Fox and CBS, NBC, ESPN.
Great question. Great question. Are you aware of what channels you
Great answer, you mean? Now you asked the question. Are you talking to
yourself? I was just complimenting myself. I tune you out when you start talking.
All right,
I tune you out.
Yeah, all right. Cool.
I got a lot to do here.
That's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm going to start doing that.
What channel? Name a couple channels you can watch MLS on.
Yeah, Apple. Yeah. Huge.
One. So that takes us to our next topic tonight. The big issue. Apple TV has come into light here lately. If you're unaware and you can't find MLS, or you're not a fan of MLS, part of this might be the reason.
Yeah.
So I believe this is the 3rd year. We'll get our fact checkers on the scene. But MLS signed an Apple TV deal where it's basically behind a paywall, where 99.9% of all MLS games now are all on Apple TV. And that's the only place you can watch them. So you have to pay for Apple TV, and you have to pay for the MLS package in order to watch them. Now, the reason this is a hot topic is it has not been going very well. And in 2024, the last fall, the MLS Cup final was as low as 65,000 viewers on the MLS season pass. It was an all-time low. It was 50% worse than the year before when it was covered on Fox. When you combine the TV and streaming numbers, the MLS Cup final last year was only watched by 533,000 people. Awful Announcing, which is a website, had an article that described it as maybe one of the worst contracts in the history of sports broadcasting, both for the league and for a media company. $250 million a year deal between MLS and Apple doesn't end until 2032. Now, Apple pays MLS $250 million a year, but MLS has to pay for all the productions and all the production costs and things behind the scenes. So that leads us to this question, Mike D, especially in a sport like soccer that you and I love so much, that you're trying to still at this stage get the catch on in the United States. Is that a big issue?
I'll say it this way. If I'm single and I'm going to a city,
I need to mute you.
See who's single. I'm going to use Tinder, a free app. I'm not going to go pay for a subscription to find out what's going on in that city. I don't have enough interest for that. If the MLS wants to catch fire, you can't make people pay for a subscription when they don't even know what the product is or if they think you're hot yet. You can't do it. You can't do it. And I want to love the MLS. First of all, I love my friend Jeremy and the love that the MLS has shown us as a soccer rebellion. I am a fan. I am, and I want to love it. I think there's some great things going on. And they continue to get a better product, I believe. I think Inter Miami has changed a whole bunch of things. I think having Columbus Crew now back, the way that they're back and the way that they're becoming a staple of the MLS is huge. I think that Queens getting a stadium for NYCFC is going to be legendary. I think they are doing some things to tie more into culture, but this is a huge issue. I'm not saying that Apple can't have some type of rights where maybe you get more than just the game with Apple and you get more inside information. It needs to be like the old DVD when you got the commentary version that you could also watch, the director's cut that also talked over things and maybe got back in the locker room. You know what I'm saying? Like, make Apple that. Make make Apple more storytelling for you. Like, if you look at any type of product that Apple has, is their storytelling. Let Apple do that. Let Apple take this MLS product and storytell with it, but not the way it doesn't need to be the game. The game's the story. The game's the drama itself. Don't take that away. That just needs to be organic and authentic. Apple, you want to do that? Somehow make the vision of how we watch the game from Apple more appealing to where we can see the sights and sounds of the players, like kind of how the NBA did it. Like, do something where you change the camera views or something to where we can see the midfield view. We can see a defender's view.
Messy cam.
The messy cam, something like that. Whatever. But do something like, because that's what's gonna change. Like, Americans are stubborn, they're set, they're loyal to their teams. You have to, first of all, ingrain in their culture. And that goes back to the other thing that I feel like the MLS needs to do. And you need color commentating that relates to that city and that community. That's why Walt Frazier, he's a two-time champion with the New York Knicks. He's been there forever. He's one of the smoothest mofos you've ever seen. And he just relates to New York. Like, he feels like a New Yorker. So now you get this New York kind of presence when you're watching the game that, like, yeah, this is me. This is my tribe. You can't have a transplant come in. You have it mean something to the city. Have a really popular high school soccer coach or something. Have something that means something to the soccer community. Talk on out for those shows.
I just want to say, on my take, I don't personally have anything really against Apple TV. I think kind of like what you're saying, it would be okay for them to have some.
I like Severance quite a bit.
But I think that the problem is that MLS needs to be available on different channels, on different avenues for people to find it. And, as you and I, we love American football as much as you love watching the NFL. You just named several different places you can watch the NFL. Even if the NFL, is the most watched popular sport in our country, how many people do you know that imagine if the only way you could watch the NFL, was by buying the Sunday ticket. That's what this is like. It's the only way you could watch NFL games. There were no game, there are games on NBC, CBS, ESPN, the Amazon Prime Thursday night game now, Monday Night Football. There's all these different places. And in soccer, especially, you're trying to get it to catch on. And it's just very frustrating that, like you said, the casual sports fan is not going to purchase a subscription
and you
and
know
say,
what?
hey, I'm going to check this out.
Yeah, right. I'm not going to. Yeah. And I think what they thought was the bet was, my Messi's going to bring everyone here.
I was just going to say, well, you know why part of this money, where part of this money is going?
Exactly.
It's part of the deal with Messi. So,
but that's where I think you got to start neighborhood hyper local with soccer. You need to have the investment. You need to show the love, and you need to actually give these local communities, these local soccer clubs, players, coaches, and all that. You need to give them reference. You need to give them some spotlight in each city. And that's going to rally them to be like, yeah, I'm in this. I'm in this for the right reasons. And we're building something together. And it doesn't, to me, it still feels absent of that. But maybe that's because I don't live in an MLS city or state even. Michigan doesn't have one. So it feels a little foreign to me. But I mean, when I went to Columbus, I kind of felt that a little bit. But when I've traveled to other places, I didn't feel that. Like there was
what? Let me interrupt real quick. What baseball game can you watch where you live though? What
Detroit
would be like
Tigers? I can watch the Tigers.
That's what I mean. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly right. It's exactly what I'm trying to say. Exactly.
So even though you don't have a team in your city, the way baseball is, you can see games recovered for the Detroit Tigers.
And you see, and you know who describes this very well is Wrexham. If you ever watched that show,
yeah,
they talk about how they can't take this. This belongs to Wales or wherever the hell it is.
Yeah,
right? Wales, and to that city, and they do a great job documenting like what it means that I wish Ryan Reynolds and the guy from Always Sunny did that for the MLS. I think it pisses me off that they went to Europe and did it. I wish they would have done that for an MLS team.
Well, I can tell you real quickly. I just saw about a week ago they bought Wrexham, I believe, for $2 million, and right now it's worth $100 million. So they did do pretty well. But I agree with you on that decision. Yeah.
But that's just me because I think again, I'm looking at this as promotion of the sport. Like the people that are going to do this right, they're not the ones that are going to become wealthy from it. And that's the problem in the United States. The ones that do this right are not going to be the ones to make the money from it. It's going to be that next generation that gets it.
For everything that you and I do and a lot of other people around the country to promote and to get soccer, to become more popular, more successful, and more ingrained in our culture, this just, to me, makes it much more difficult to do that. That's my frustration with it. So,
and MLS, I love you and I want to love you. I do.
Absolutely. Well, I think if we didn't care so much, we wouldn't be talking about it like we are. So,
I'm in your corner, but just talk to me. Don't talk this way. Talk to me,
Yeah. So hopefully they can see what it can change in the future. Not sure. So moving along, we have a highlight video of Ronaldinho. We have some issues tonight.
Is that you in the background?
Yeah, that's me. Yeah, it's me guarding.
I like that haircut on you. That's nice.
Yeah. Oh, we do have another. There you go. To put this pathetic media rights deal into perspective, MLS viewership on Apple TV rivals golf viewership for the Live Tour on the C-Dub, which is non-existent. Very good. Love that golf analogy there. And pretty true. So keep the comments coming. We love it. We appreciate it. And we're glad to be back here live with you tonight. Just a reminder, make sure you like and subscribe. We're here every Sunday night, bringing you Sunday Night Soccer, 8 p.m. live on YouTube Eastern Time. And make sure you check out the Soccer Rebellion. They're doing some great things. Big summer plan.
And saying we when you say that. You're part of
we
the
are,
baby.
I thought you were starting to cheer like we are the Knicks or something like that. I don't know.
Are.
Oh, okay. But check us out. Check out thesoccerneighborhood.com. We're doing some great things. As we said, we gained 2 more members. If you or anyone out in your community are doing great things, providing free soccer or very limited fees for kids in that area, in your area, please send them our way through social media. Have them email us, hit us up on our website or here on YouTube. We'd love to add you to our group, the Soccer Neighborhood. 33 groups already around the country. We've only been doing this for about a year. So pretty proud of that. And then again, like and subscribe. So
Jay, let me cut you off real quick.
Yes, sir.
We didn't watch the video, by the way.
Yeah, I know. It didn't work.
So you were just going to act like you were going to set it up and just act like nothing happened?
Yeah, it wouldn't work. I'm sorry. Don't know what to do. Hey, speak to our budgeting crew.
But you can't really do that on a show that lives on the internet. You got to explain yourself.
It wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. I did explain it.
No, you were just going to casually move on, dude.
I did move on. It's gone. It's gone. You want me to bring it back?
No, I think you should
bring it back. Bring it back. Bring it back.
Put the link in the comments after the show or something.
I will for all of our fans. I will. Someone out there loves us. Thanks, Dre. Great work, gentlemen. We appreciate it.
Fake. What's fake?
Autumn calling Ronaldinho fake? I don't know.
Oh, it's a fake. She's thinking you're putting up fake videos.
Yeah, we'll put the link out there for you, Autumn. All right, just relax. Just relax. All right. Oh. I just like to change things up on you, see how you can react.
Oh, but I did want to say something in all seriousness. Okay. Jay just had his 100th episode on Straight from the Training Ground, something that it's homegrown and he made. It's quite phenomenal what he did. Please make sure you're following Straight from the Training Ground and all the work he puts into uncovering or discovering what the American landscape really does look like, with the people that are doing it the right way, from the coaches to people that own apparel companies and organizations to clubs and people that are really influential within the soccer space. And Jay has been having these great conversations with them just because Jay is one of a kind and super charismatic and one of the nicest people that you'll ever meet. So Jay, congratulations on all your success. And he's got over 100,000 followers on YouTube. So, I mean, he's doing something right. So Jay, congrats, man. It's only been 2 years and you're already killing it.
Well, thanks, man. I do appreciate it. I appreciate it. But you were on there. You made a couple appearances in our highlight reel on our 100th episode. You did a great job too. Even in what was it, the parking lot of, where were you?
At
Planet Fitness.
Yep. On my first interview, I was in the parking lot after.
There you go.
A good work.
Yeah, appreciate it. And thanks to everybody that's been a part of that along the way, the Soccer Rebellion and everybody else. We're very appreciative of that. As always. And we do have a latest newsletter just went out today, so check that out. We'll put that on social media. And in the newsletter today, since you did mention that, Mike D, our main topic of the newsletter this week was go out and get started. And that means for anything. My only advice to you is, and Mike D, we covered this a little bit in the podcast, didn't know what we were doing, had no idea what I was doing. Ryan, Rosmondo, our other chief partner in crime, we had no idea, no technology background, as you can tell by our show tonight. We still don't, but really no idea what a thumbnail was. But I guarantee you there are people out there, whatever you're interested in starting, that are interested in those things just like you are, whether it's a Facebook page, a group in your community, an organization, a YouTube channel, whatever it is, just get started. And I can tell you, Mike D, that the entrepreneurs we've had on the podcast, that's the number one thing they've all said. Their piece of advice to people out there starting a business, a hobby, the number one obstacle is just get started. That's the best piece of advice they've given. So
well said.
With that, back to the show.
Boom. Look at that transition.
Team of the week. We went with San Diego FC, not for Ron Burgundy, like you might think, but because San Diego
Whale's
FC,
vagina.
Exactly. You're going to say that. is currently in second place, as we said earlier, and they're an expansion team doing a great job. Just exciting stuff for the league and for MLS. And last night they beat LAFC 3-2.
Wow.
So congratulations to them and their coach, Mikey Veras. But just great to see an expansion team. In our culture, I think in U.S. sports, Mike D, I think we're kind of used to those expansion teams, having a rough go for the first few years.
Especially
NBA, NFL, whatever you might, and so just kind of cool to see them doing so well. So hopefully they can keep that up out west. And we do have Autumn. Oh, she's apologetic. She's just upset that the video didn't work. She's
not apologetic. She's still giving us crap.
We appreciate your honesty, though. That's what we're here for. So
Autumn never apologizes. She's one of those. She'll just tell it to you straight, and she'll step on your shoe. Like if you're walking and you have nice crispy shoes, she'll just ram her heel right into that shoe and say, "I don't like you." Like that's
the street soccer culture we're after, though.
That's Autumn.
Yeah, we love it, though. We love it. All right, Spanish word of the week as we continue. And I will say, shout out to Scottwood Elementary. We keep having a great time there in Columbus with the soccer neighborhood. And they're helping me as much with my Spanish as I'm not sure if I'm helping them with soccer at all. But it's great for that. They've been very helpful to me, and I keep working on it. How's your New Year's resolution been going?
You know what? It's getting better for sure.
Okay.
I'm using it more in practice and things. I'm just trying to listen more for it, and I'm having people that around me that speak Spanish just continue to speak to me. But it's still like this. Like When
like
you
it
put me on the
comes and
spot,
goes.
well, no, like if you put me on the spot, I wouldn't. But if you give me a few drinks at the bar and I hear something, all of a sudden I'll be able to say a few words. So I don't know what that is, but you know what also I've been doing is learning Chinese, because I have a Chinese player on my team and we're now counting in Chinese, which is awesome.
Wow, that's very cool. So
anyway,
all right,
Spanish is my focus. No, I'm not.
Great pass. Great pass. Grand passe.
Grand passe.
That's my take on grand.
I feel like we butchered the hell out of that.
Probably
not. So. That sounded so that sounds like
grand passe. It sounds like me speaking Spanish, but
yes, it does exactly.
Grand passe. So now for our
grand passe,
not the grand posse, the grand passe.
Grand
but passe. Now for our favorite time of the show, well, our least favorite, but the viewers probably favorite, is when we bring Mike or when we bring one of our Erics back to the show.
My brother.
To point out all of our errores. And again, I don't know where he went. He keeps escaping somehow.
Yep.
There he is.
There's
sneaky.
But there it is.
Where he points out all of the errors and mistakes we've made tonight.
Yeah, I didn't catch too many today. I think you guys did pretty good today.
Hey.
I feel like this was one of the best. Do want to give the shout out to happy birthday for Walt Frazier over there. Knicks did win for his honor, and
we did win. Nice.
Join the show.
Good.
You asked for a little NCAA update, Jay. I'll give that to you.
Final
for the first time since 2008, all number 1 seeds are in the Final Four.
Wow.
So we will have Auburn versus Florida. Auburn seemed to have just owned the state of Michigan in the past 2 days. And Florida, and then Duke versus Houston. So should be a good Final Four. I believe Michael's rooting for Duke and his boy Cooper Flag. So we should see what happens there. One cool thing that I did notice was I was watching the San Diego Atlanta game just before we got on here, and Manny Machado actually gave a shout out to MLS and SDFC.
That's
I thought you were
cool.
going to say straight from the training ground or something.
He was mic'd up and he said, I was listening to Straight from the Training Ground, and I just went to the SDFC game. So that was kind of cool.
Damn!
Wow, that's amazing.
During the FA Cup game for Manchester City, something that was kind of left out, a huge news. Haaland left the game in the 60th minute with a left ankle injury.
That's right. That's right.
Which could fly into another reason why some clubs might be hesitant to open up in the other world.
Yeah, in the U.S. Open Cup and stuff.
When are you playing too many games? Let's see here. 2023 was the first year for MLS on the Apple TV.
Okay.
As you asked about that, so this is their 3rd year. And other than that,
wait, what? 2023? That's 2 years.
No, this would be the 3rd year.
This is 25, so we're in the middle. We just started the 3rd season.
Oh, I understand. 23, 24.
The 3rd.
Yeah, that
MLS calendar gets you every time. Yeah.
All right.
Don't try to bring on. Don't jump.
No, that's fine. Okay.
Awesome.
It's fine.
All right. Well, just make sure
everything's okay.
Everything, calm down, Jay.
Jay, relax.
Jay, are you okay?
Listen, someone's got to keep you two in line, and we're live on YouTube, man.
Jay, do you even know who Manny Machado is?
Come on, Jay.
Yeah, he's a striker in Portugal, I think.
Manny Machado? Jay, go away.
I'm American. Yes, I know who Manny Machado is.
What does that have to do with anything?
What does that have to do with anything?
He's a baseball player. Okay. I'm American. He's a baseball player.
You're from the United States. You're not American. That's you can't say that, because people from Canada are American. People from Mexico are American. You got to say you're from the United States. Trust me on that one.
Okay.
All right.
To answer your question, yes, I don't know. I'm keep going.
What team does he play for?
The Padres.
What city?
The favorite baseball team of one Mr. Ron Burgundy. Finger? The middle one.
Yep. Got it.
What team was he drafted by, Michael?
The Dolphins.
Manny Machado, the Orioles.
There you go. There we go.
Can you say Orioles in Chinese?
Yes.
I didn't think so. All right. Until next time.
Let's not go there. That's dangerous.
We appreciate all your love. We appreciate all the subscribers and all your comments tonight. Keep up the great work out there. We're very pleased to have it. Part owner of San Diego.
That's where the shout out came.
Manny Machado. Yep, there you go. Thanks a lot. So we appreciate all you guys for watching tonight. Until next time, we'll see you again on Sunday Night Soccer. We may still be live. It's not something's acting up. So, anyways,
are we still live? No, we're not. Yeah, we are.
I don't know.
All right. Well,
Something's
I'm just
going
getting it
on
off
with
so we don't
YouTube
keep
tonight,
going.
or yeah. So, peace
Whatever.
out.
Hey,
Till next
Jay,
time.
great job. Yeah. Have a
You
great
too.
night, man. I'll talk to you tomorrow.